Hello, stellar people, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Trey, and today we're going to do some chibification, some chibi drawings. Now, chibi is a stylization from Japan, but a lot of places have been doing it way before that, but it's mostly known for the Japanese influence. And it's an abstraction or overly done simplification of a character. Super deformation, as they say. And let's go over what is chibi and how can we do it. So for our first example of the chibi style, let's look at Capcom. Capcom is one of my favorites. And Street Fighter with Ryu and Chun-Li. Now the classics is the head is larger than the body. The head is the defining feature of the chibi style with a very large head, big eyes, and a smaller shrunken down body. And that is pretty much all that it is. So the head is usually between 3, 2.5 heights of the whole body is like 2 or 3 heads tall. But it can vary, right? These aren't rules, these are just guidelines. You can do it however you wish. For example, Guile, he has a large head, smaller body. You know, you can have muscles, but usually the muscles aren't as defined. And also here is Sakura, it's one of my favorite characters in Street Fighter. And again, the larger head than the body, about 2 to 3 heads tall. And it's a very simplified style. Now for another example, I'm going to be using Bravely Default. And this is, see that this illustration has the characters with normal proportions or a normal-ish proportions. But while the chibi style, I think this is Ring a Bell from one of the characters from Bravely Default. And again, we have a larger head and the body is shrunken down and less emphasized. And it's usually 2 to 3 heads tall, but it can vary. And here we have a chart of the head and then how big the body is in proportion to the head. But now that we have the examples out of the way, let's draw one. So for this, I'll be using Beautiful Beast Kiss. This I did prior. And I go through steps. All my art goes through different levels. The sketch form, a developed sketch form, and then a final, usually. But here we have little gestures that I've done. And I usually just make these small gestures just to get an idea of what I like, what could be. Most I will discard, but sometimes you find one that's, hey, I'd like that. And so I blow it up. And then on the left, we have the very loose gesture. In the middle, we have this just loose sketch that I did off of that gesture sketch. And then on the right is an even more developed drawing. And all of my art takes on these elements. This is my steps, my system, how I do things. All right, so now it's usually 2 to 3 heads tall. So let's go for about a 3 heads tall. That's what I usually do. So I'm making these rough guidelines, roughly done, and then pushed to the side. And I'm going to use the same pose and about the same style, well, of features and hair in this chibi style. So again, large head, diminutive body, de-emphasize the body. Then I go about my usual standard. I do the head usually first, center line, cross section, hairline, eye line, nose, but I'm going really loose on this one. This is just the block in stage. We're just trying to go for what we can get, see how it looks, and then we'll adjust from there. I don't usually go in super serious, just start rough and go from there. I like that foofy hair, so I'm gonna add that. And that body is usually do a pear shape. Smaller rib cage, wider hips and legs. But that's just me. Some people keep the body fairly flat, fairly even, fairly straight up and down. But it depends on what you're going for or what you like. Then once I get the character to approximately how I like in this rough sketch phase, then I isolate the character and then blow it up, which in computer I just enlarge it. So then I can go in with the details. She was looking a bit wide up top, so I isolated it with the lasso tool and shrunk that down. But of course, making that adjustment meant I have to also do the bottom. So again, I try to make the bottom more stable than the top. So it's about a sort of a pyramid or a triangle. And then I now get rid of all the extra details by fading it back and then drawing again on top. And it's going along pretty well, but then I noticed that the head looked a little large to me, even in the super deformed style. So I took that down a little bit. And then once I had it approximately how I liked it, then we continued. In the end, after all the sketching and roughing in, we come to this, which is what I like. Now, one of my standard procedures is to print it out and then to draw on top. So I have a darker printout just to see where I'm going, just in case I need some help. But then also a lighter printout. That's the one I draw on. And I go in with a red or a blue pencil and I just sketch out what the parts I like, redefining, refining, and getting something closer to how I want it in the final. Now for me, the inks are part of the cleanup phase, the tightness, where I kind of have the whole structure down, and the inks is one of the final phases, giving the final details, that final push and cleanup so that it's easily readable to any viewer about what this is. A chibi formed, a super deformed, beautiful beast kiss. So in the end, here we have Beautiful Beast Kiss in totality. The clean inks done. I took it in computer after I scanned it, cleaned it up a little bit, and here it is. And then I go in with color. And color just gives it that added life to it. You don't always have to do color. I now, in the end, I give it that color just for that added oomph. But it's not exactly, it depends on what you want it for. But let's review. So here are the measurements. About approximately 2.5 heads tall. Approximately. Now these aren't rules, they're just guidelines. You can make yours however you feel like. But in general, it seems to be, to me, a 2, maybe 3 heads tall. Or some approximation of that. But mostly it's the oversized head, larger eyes and features, a less demonstrative body. Keep it simple, that body. And there you have it, super deformed, chibi. And as the shapes, right, circle, we have a lot of smaller circles for the joints and cylinders for the limbs. I usually have mine wider at the bottom than the body part, so the rib cage is smaller than the hips, and the feet are planted so that it doesn't look like it's going to tip over, obviously. And that is the super deformed style. So, for the 3 main points, chibi, or the chibi style, is a simplification for cuteness, super deformation, as the Japanese call it. 2 to 3 heads high, and 3 smaller bodies. So everything is, smaller, more like a babyfication. Babies also have larger heads, smaller bodies, again, for cuteness. So think of that if that helps. So thank you for joining me on this chibification explanation, as it were. I have been Trey, and I will see you on the next video. Keep shining, keep it cute, and take care. Bye-bye.